when I started YouTube, I wasn't that confident. Like, of course, I saw people like Kevin and Andre and Graham and Jeremy, and I knew 4 people on this planet were making a living off of it. Like, I understood that. But like when I got that Logitech Brio, there was no way I thought I was going to be one of those people. No way, no how. I was doing it to pass time because, like everyone else in the world, I was locked up and I was just in a 1-bedroom apartment. I wasn't allowed outside. I was like, I just need something to like do with my time. And then when I saw on a relative basis to everyone who started with me, my underperformance, I was like, well, this is really not for me. I just missed the boat. So I just didn't even think it was an option. I thought, like, wait, hang on. I know if I get degrees and I impress them in interviews and I show them my models, I knew that there was a path forward there. But this concept of streaming the market, the path wasn't there. Not really, especially with a cultural phenomena such as GameStop. Like that just, it never, something like that didn't happen unless we're going back to the 1600s and we're talking about the tulip squeeze, but I'm pretty sure no one was streaming back then. So like that was, I guess, like it seemed tough to me because like that did not exist. But inherently, now looking back on it, to anyone listening to it, that is how you exceed in the world of social media. If I want to go out there and make meet Kevin style content, I will never, ever, ever get close to his level. Most likely, he's better than me. So you now have to be 10x better than the person who's bigger than you to even possibly catch up. And you probably won't. Like at a certain point, you just have to think of this as a chess match. So what you could do is just be the first one doing something, almost owning a monopoly on that niche. So if anyone cares about it, they have to come to you. So inadvertently, I fell into that. Though I'm not saying I was some genius and planned that. I'm like, oh man, I see the squeeze. I could be the main person doing it. No, I fell into it. But if you're listening to this, like take that as a tip. Yes, you can take some sort of, I guess, guidance or advice or influence from people. But if you want to win in the game of social media, you got to do something no one else is doing. It's referred to as blue ocean strategy. So whether you're doing that for a type of content or even the platform you're going on to, look for those opportunities.
Very cool. I was actually going to ask you, when you were sub 10,000 subscribers, were you on the YouTube, like learning how to YouTube grind? Were you like learning, how do I make a better title? How do I make a better thumbnail? Like, were you very focused on the metrics, or are you focused on, were you focused more on the content? Because I've seen both. I've seen people that are like, I need to have a better title. Like a 1% gets me this much more people. Or it's people like, I don't care about the metrics. I just want to make the best video. Like, where do you fall on that? Because I've seen both.
Yeah, so me with just my comp sci background, I very much cared about the metrics, and I was like, okay, like a little change here, a little change there, did that help? But in reality, all I was doing was making like a D version video of already the top tier finance content creators. I'm like, oh, it worked for them, so I'm going to try to do it. And then like I would get mad when I was like, well, why am I not getting ranked in search? Why are people not engaging with me? First of all, I put it out later. Second of all, it wasn't as good of content. Third of all, I couldn't talk. Like, but in the moment, it's frustrating. You're like, well, why is it not working? And once again, it's one of those things where you're Monday morning quarterbacking and your hindsight bias. You're like, oh, okay, I kind of get like looking at my videos now, I totally understand why they weren't getting views. So it's one of those things that a lot of these drawdowns, let's say, and however you're measuring success, it's when you kind of come out of that gully that you're like, oh, duh, like I had to change this one thing and make whatever, maybe it's your own unique brand or voice. And you're like, that's when it took off. So for me, it all took off when I did something that no one else was doing, yet there was a damn demand for that. Like I was filling some sort of value. So whether you're talking about finance or anything, if you want to go be the best dancer out there, great, just do it. Do it in a way that no one else is doing it. And most likely you'll get some sort of a following.
Got it. I think something that I want to make a point on that it's like I've started to accumulate being around as many folks like you, folks like Kevin, folks like just all these very successful entrepreneurs that are on their way up. Something that I'm learning is I don't like to say the word lucky, but being in the right place at the right time, and the harder you work, the luckier you get. I think that that's super valuable because you did 10 months of grind with very little success. And then you just did one small title change and everything changed for you. And
Without
I'm convinced, I'm still convinced that you would have been on, like, if you weren't consistent and working as hard as you had been to be at that spot to make that title change, then yeah, you can say I got lucky during the GameStop era, but I think you would have been in the place. Maybe you would have been there when something crazy happening on an earnings call and you were the only one streaming it. So I don't know. I'm just a firm believer in the harder you work, the luckier you get, and you put yourself in the right time in the right place. So I love hearing the things that I'm learning be repeated in stories like yours.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you. I don't know if I would have gotten the success I did. I mean, whatever. But there's many classic sayings about it. Like luck is just opportunity and then preparation. So like all you can be in control of is your preparation. So
Mhm.
every single day I was making videos. I was just always there knocking on the door. And then eventually I had like someone open the door in the term of that really weird event for me. But the point was like is every single day I was there. I had the camera. I was already working on it. And I think this is going to be true in many different aspects. I think it's Denzel Washington, or maybe he was quoting someone else. He's like, if you hang around the barbershop enough, you're eventually going to get a haircut. All you can do is be the person at the barbershop. All you can do is being the person who's always prepared, always prepared. And then eventually, whether it's within the first week or maybe it's years down the road, you will eventually get there. It's just like the biggest thing, and I don't even know if this is just accurate for social media or content creation, but I would assume it's accurate in any aspect of life. It's just consistency, showing up every day. I'm sure if you're the Mr. Olympia bodybuilder, or if you're Taylor Swift on stage performing your act, all it is showing up every single day. And a lot of the days are going to suck. A lot of the days are going to be something you don't want to do. You're not seeing the success. And you just have to, for whatever reason in your mind, you need to hang on to something that keeps you coming there the very next day. I don't know what it is. I think it's going to be different from person to person. In a weird way, I was almost lucky that I was locked inside because I had nothing else to do. In a weird way, if I started right now, I don't know if I would have, because all of us, I'm still in Manhattan. My friends would be calling me up every weekend. Hey man, let's go out, this show, this comedy club, this concert, this magician, whatever. Like there would be so many other things. So I don't know if I would have been able to pull it off in reality. I'd like to think that I had some sort of that mental discipline and the drive to keep going. But really, I think, I mean, talking to the entrepreneurs that are way bigger than myself, that's the key thing that I see. Is they're the people who just grind it out over and over. I've read a lot of these biographies, autobiographies on some of the most successful people in the world. And what I always think is laughable is there's always one sentence of like, oh, they did this. And then 4 years later, there's always one sentence of some large time frame that passes and then they hit it. I'm like, wait, you just said 4 years. You said 20 years. You said 2 years. Like it's one little sentence. And I'm like, imagine what that actually feels like. Like we read that and they're like, oh, and a couple of years later, they were able to get $1 billion in their front. I was like, what do you mean a couple years later? Like what happened in that time frame where it all sucked and nothing was going right? And I think that's the key thing is for all of us is just realize you're going to have big patches of time where seemingly nothing is going your way. And then you're going to have a random event where you change the title and all of a sudden your stars align and like you're now on the fast track, like just exploding higher.
Yeah. I'm actually looking for a quote because um, I thought it was Steve Jobs, but I think I might be wrong. It said, or it was Phil Knight, one of those guys. It was like it took 10 years and it took 10 years of hell, and then all of a sudden it was an overnight success. And it's
I
like
like
it's so
that.
funny where it's just like 10 years and then boom, it worked. But in reality, it
Overnight
all
success.
compounds. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode with Matt Kohrs. I had a ton of fun learning from him. He's a super awesome guy, super kind, super genuine, but he also shares a lot of motivation with me about what I need to do as an entrepreneur and that I just got to keep going. So I hope you guys were able to get a little bit of inspiration from that. If you haven't yet, check out that executive club membership. Also, if you do want to check out Kevin's courses linked on down below, especially that AI course, I highly recommend checking it out to increase productivity. And if you haven't yet, consider subscribing. Lots to do, but I cannot wait to bring as much value as possible to you guys. Like always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next episode.